Fox 2 problem solvers uncover a mess involving a suburban mayor and a shady demolition man.
Yeah, they had millions of dollars to tear down an old steel mill. But where'd the money go? Here's Scott Lewis with more on that story. Scott?
Sherry and Murray, the plan was to demolish a rusty old factory in Ecorse and turn it into a nice neighborhood. They had a huge pot of money to take the building down, but the job isn't finished and contractors aren't being paid. Now the problem solvers are on the case and everyone's ducking for cover.
Scott Lewis from Fox 2.
This guy lives in a motel
I want to ask you some questions about the steel mill you demolished.
and works out of this car.
Why aren't you paying the contractors?
He's got a long criminal record
Why did you leave such a mess down there?
and a history of poisoning the environment. So why in the world did the city of Ecorse give him a multi-million-dollar demolition contract? It turned into a fiasco. This is the old Michigan Steelworks complex. Tom Carter was supposed to tear everything down and clean up the property. Look at this mess. Tons of rubble and debris strewn all over the place. On top of that, there's a trail of lawsuits and at least $500,000 in unpaid bills. Tom Carter's got some explaining to do. And he's about to go ballistic on us.
I want to ask the mayor.
What's that?
Ask the mayor.
I want to ask you. You left a mess down there.
Whoa, hey. I didn't leave a mess down there. You ask the mayor, okay? Have a good day.
Oh, I will, Tom. And don't worry, we've got some questions for the mayor, too. He's almost as hinky about this thing as you are.
Mayor? Mr. Mayor? Mayor?
Wait till you see the stunt he pulls to dodge the problem solvers. You'll see how this plays out in a minute.
Wait a minute.
Tom Carter will come back again and again with more fireworks. You'll hear all about his environmental disasters and his criminal record. Right now, more about the demolition job in Ecorse. The city bought the abandoned Michigan Steelworks in 2004, planning to tear it down and build upscale housing. After they bought it, they discovered a windfall. There was $10 million worth of scrap steel in the place and $2 million in scrap copper. That's $12 million bucks, enough to pay for the purchase of the property and the demolition and cleanup with millions to spare. Carter was supposed to get over $1 million in cash and a share of the scrap copper. But now most of the scrap is gone, the work has stopped, and the debris has been lying there for months. Imagine how Cassie Kosick feels. This is the view out her front window. She's got a young son, and it's a little scary.
The dust blows. You could see, I dust almost every day. And there's dust that's ridiculous, and I don't know what I'm breathing in.
So who's to blame? Tom Carter says, not him.
Hey, put this in the newspaper. When the city of Ecorse starts paying their bills, it'll get all cleaned up perfect.
What did you do with all the money from the scrap? There's $2 million worth of copper in there.
So?
So?
Who said there was $2 million worth of copper in there?
It's publicly stated by the mayor and the city council.
I see. Well, they got their share.
So what does the mayor have to say? Let's ask. It's the Tuesday night council meeting, and Larry Salisbury is feeling a little warm under the collar. In fact, he looks downright nervous. What's he worried about? The problem solvers are in the house, with 2 cameras, one pointed right at him. He knows something's about to happen, and it's not going to be pretty. Suddenly, he summons the chief of police. They huddle to plan an escape, but it's not going to be a clean getaway. Watch what happens when the meeting breaks up.
I want to talk to him on camera. Mayor? Mr. Mayor? Mayor? Mayor, you got a second? Wait a minute. No. Come on, I need to ask you some questions about the steel mill and about Tom Carter. You got a mess down there, Mayor. And get this, Carter actually added to the mess. He was supposed to be taking rubble off the site, but he was bringing stuff in and dumping it.
Tearing down houses in Ecorse and dumping debris at the mill site. And the piles of broken concrete he dumped are mixed with hazardous asbestos. The kicker? According to the guy who hauled the stuff, the city knew all about it.
So they actually saw you dump this debris on the lot?
Yes, they did.
Security guards?
Yes, they did.
And they were hired by the city?
Mm-hmm. And the concrete is supposed to be taken to the crusher, not dumped in the city of Ecorse.
But when it comes to environmental disasters, that's small potatoes. Back in the late 80s, Carter's company was the site of one of the worst toxic messes in Michigan history. Carter Industrial was on the EPA Superfund list. PCBs from electrical transformers were dumped on the ground. The cleanup cost $12 million. A few years later, Carter abandoned a scrapyard in Alpena called Fivenson. The state had to come in and clean up this pigsty. That cost you and me $2.5 million.
Can I ask you about your track record, Carter Industrials? Fivenson?
Carter can be pretty intimidating. This trucker found that out when he pressured Carter to pay him $4,200 he owes. Carter left a message threatening to call immigration.
Immigration? I've been in the United States for 40 years and I'm a Vietnam veteran.
I'm not threatening. I'm just stating the fact.
I looked into Carter's past and found quite a rap sheet. Convictions for bad checks, larceny, air pollution, and malicious destruction of a building. He even did 2 years in the federal pen for mail fraud. Time for one last curtain call.
You've got quite a criminal past.
I don't have quite a criminal past. You full of
You do time in federal prison?
No.
You've got felonies in Wayne County.
This thing stinks to high heaven. The crooked contractor is pointing fingers at the mayor, and he's turtling at City Hall. What happened to the $12 million in scrap, Mr. Mayor? I waited by his car for over an hour that night. Found out later they had hustled him out a back door and whisked him away in a police car.
So what's going on here? Why did the work stop? Why aren't the contractors being paid? Is the city holding on to this money, or did it just disappear? The problem solvers intend to find out. We've asked for all the financial records on this project under the Freedom of Information Act. By the way, the mayor and council originally gave this contract to another company called Alliance. Then, for some reason, they rescinded the deal and awarded the work to Tom Carter. The company that got booted has filed a lawsuit.
So, Scott, not only did he leave a mess there, but he added to it, you say?
Yeah, and the state has been in there. They've inspected this stuff. They found asbestos in it. Now they've cited Carter, and they're going to try to find him and get him to clean up the mess. But he made it worse.
Wow. All right. Great story.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.